Good morning, students. I hope you have gone through or you have read where we have stopped yesterday from your Beehive textbook, chapter number 7, Packing by Jerome K. Jerome. Open your textbook to page number 83. We have stopped yesterday from paragraph number 5. How he was about the packing of Jerome. Okay, how he would forget his toothbrush. Then at the middle of the night he would remember, and in the morning he would take out to brush, and he would forget again to repack it, and then he would, when the last minute he would remember, he would go upstairs, run upstairs, he would bring back, but then no time to open and keep again, and so he would wrap in his handkerchief and run to the railway station. Up to here we have completed. Today we will continue with the from sixth paragraph. Of course, I had to turn every mortal thing out now, and of course, I could not find it. I rummaged the things up into much the same state that they must have been before the world was created, and when chaos reigned. Of course, I found George and Harry's 18 times over, but I couldn't find my own. I put the things back one by one and held everything up and shook it. Then I found it inside a boot. I repacked once more. You see what he is telling here? You see, of course, I had to turn every mortal things. What is he searching? Remember, he is searching for the toothbrush. He is trying to recall whether he has packed it or no, and therefore he removed everything. Mortal means what? That cannot live forever. Mortal. Okay. That means whatever he has packed, he removed one by one. He turned everything, and still he couldn't find it. And so what he did? Telling I rummaged. Rummaged is to search. Search in a hurried or careless way. It's called rummage. Everything untidy. Okay. Again he made untidy into much the same state that they must have been when before the world was created. You see what connection, what comparison he is giving. Before the world was created, it is believed that the world was in a chaos. Chaos means all in mess, all disturbed, everything not in order. That is opposite of order is chaos. Okay, everything was in disorder. So he is telling he removed everything. You see in the picture, he has removed everything one by one and started shaking also to find the toothbrush. And for that he is telling something like world was before creation, before God could create the world, it is believed that it was in disorder. It was God who made everything in order. And he's telling he found George and Harris 18 times over because he's going on searching. So he found George and Harris so many. Now here 18 times doesn't mean that he is counting how many times he found their toothbrush. But many times he could come across their toothbrush, but he couldn't find his own. And so he started putting things back one by one and then held everything up and shook it. Can you imagine? He has folded and put inside. Now he has to shake it. Double work. Are you understanding? Time consuming. And then he found inside a boot. Imagine the toothbrush is inside the boot. And I repacked once more. You see here in this picture how this George and Harris are sitting and enjoying. They are laughing at him because he is removing again. And Jerome is busy packing, repacking, unpacking. Things are going on. I hope you are learning these terms. Repacking, unpacking, packing. Okay? And finally, where he found his toothbrush? Inside the boot. And he repacked once more. Seventh paragraph. When I had finished, you see now, second time, okay? George asked if the soap was in it. First, who asked for the boot? Harish had asked. Now George's turn came. Everything is over again. And telling whether soap was in. I said I didn't care a hang whether the soap was in or whether it wasn't. And I slammed the bag shut and strapped it. And found that I had packed my spectacles in it and had to reopen it. It got shut up finally at 10:05 p.m. And then there remained the hampers to do. Harris said that we should be wanting wanting to start in less than 12 hours' time, and thought that he and George had better to do the rest. And I agreed and sat down, and they had a go. Hampers, I told you here, is a large basket for carrying the food. When he finished, George asked about the soap tray, whether the soap was there or no, and he did not. He says he did not mind whether it was inside or not. Telling care a hang means I don't care for it. Are you understanding? And so what he did, he slammed the bag. Slammed the bag means just he shut it very roughly, and at 10:05 p.m. he closed it. And now remains the food items. And so Harris said that they would be doing, because it is already so much time, less than 12 hours in the morning, early morning they have to start their journey. And so telling that George and Harris would do the rest. It is better that they would do, because he is taking so much of time. Are you understanding? And so now his turn came to sit down and rest. Telling I agreed and sat down, and they had a go. They had a go means they started their work. They began in a light-hearted spirit, evidently intending to show me how to do it. I made no comment. I only waited. With the exception of George, Harris is the worst packer in this world, and I looked at the piles of plates and cups and kettles and bottles and jars and pies and stoves and cakes and tomatoes, etc., and felt that the thing would soon become exciting. You see? What happened here? Go back. They began the light-hearted spirit. They began light-hearted spirit means very happily, okay, enjoying packing, but evidently intending to show me. Their intention was what? To show him how to do it. But then he made no comment. No comment, only he waited. And he's telling his comment now. You see, exception George. Harris was the worst packer. George is better than the Harris. This is what he's trying to say. Harris is the worst packer in this world, he's telling. And he looked at piles of plates and cups. Piles means heap of. Plenty of. They are taking a lot of plates. Okay. Also, what else? Cups, kettles, bottles, jars, pies, stoves, cakes, tomatoes, and felt that thing should become exciting, very enjoyable. They thought it's going to be very enjoyable. This is what they thought. It did. They started with breaking a cup. First thing, one cup broke. That was the first thing they did. They did that just to show you what they could do and to get you interested. You see, they broke first the cup. First of all, they wanted to boast about, they were so proud. They wanted to show Jerome how to do the packing. So they were being very fast, very happily they are doing. But then they broke the cup just to show them that how you will get interested in it. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of a tomato and squashed it. And they had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. So even tomato got smashed. And you see all these funny things they are doing here, okay? Ninth, and then it was George's turn. And he trod on the butter. Trod means just stepped on, walked on his foot fell on the butter. Can you imagine? They have kept there to pack and feet on it. I didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. You see in the picture, edge means at the end of the table. You see, edge of table means, okay? Where is this? Edge. Yeah. Edge of the table means you see here how he is sitting at the end of the table, the edge of the table, and he is watching them, how they are packing. Next page. It irritated them. Irritated them means they were angry. More than anything I could have said. I felt that. It made them nervous and excited. And they stepped on things and put things behind them and then couldn't find them when they wanted them. And they packed the piece at the bottom and put heavy things on top and smashed the pies in. You see what the pies, one type of biscuits. You know it very well. It's a one type of food consisting of fruits, meat or vegetable. That's the pie actually. So what they did, He's telling it. He was just looking at it. It made them nervous and excited. They were nervous as well as excited. And you see what they had. They stepped on things, put the things behind them, and couldn't find them when they wanted to pack. And they packed pies at the bottom. They are not supposed to keep bottom. What will happen? It will, and on the top heavy things, it will smash. So you while packing, you should know which things to keep on the bottom, which things to keep on the top. Heavy things we cannot keep on the top, it will smash. So heavy things will be down and light things on the top. It is quite it's normal thing, but then what to do? This is the comedian. He is writing this for just for enjoyment. Okay. 10. They upset salt over everything. And as for the butter, I never saw two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. After George had got it off his slipper, they tried to put it in the kettle. It wouldn't go in, and what was in wouldn't come out. They did scrape it out at last and put it down on a chair, and Harry sat on it, and it stuck to him. And they went looking for it all over the room. What they are doing, you see, all these funny things they are doing, you see, just for a fun. What they are doing with the butter. You see what they are doing with the butter, you see. Everything, first of all, everything they upset. They put salt also upside down. And for the butter, he says, what funny things they did, you see. What they did, George had it off his slipper. First of all, he has stamp on the slipper, and they tried to put it in the kettle, and it was not going inside the kettle, and so what it was inside, couldn't come out, and so what they did, they scrap it out. They scrap it out, something they put inside, and they scrap it out, and they took it out, and then what they did, they had kept on the chair, and Harris, without knowing it, he sat on the butter, and it stuck to him on his bottom, and then they went looking for it all over the room. It is behind his back, but then they are looking at the inside the room. Can you imagine? And George is simply enjoying. He is not telling anything, just silently he is watching at what they are doing. Okay. 11. I'll take my oath I put it down on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. And he was right, of course. George saying, I swear, I take an oath. I promise I had kept it on the chair. And now it is not there. And they were searching where it was. It was on Harry's back. Because he had sat there, it stuck on him. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago, said Harris. Harris also telling, yes, of course I saw you have kept it here. Not a minute has passed. Then they started round the room again looking for it, and then they met again in the center and stared at one another. They met there in this room. They looked at one another. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. It is so mysterious, can't understand, because they are searching, they couldn't find, so they're telling where it has gone. I have never seen such things disappear. They are thinking what is disappeared. So mysterious, you see. Something can't understand. That's called mysterious. You can't even understand. It's something very suspense. Okay, full of mystery. It is. We have never heard such things happen. Just now I saw. In 1 minute, it disappeared. Understood? And then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. Finally, he moved behind Harris and he saw it at his back. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly. Indignantly means angrily, of course. Indignantly. He's telling, why? Here it is. You see, this is what he said. Here it is. Indignantly. Okay? Where? Cried Harris. Spinning round. Spinning round is moving. Spinning round. He moved round. Where? Stand still, can't you? Roared George, flying after him. Just to stand quietly. Can't you stand quietly? It's a roaring. Roaring means to make noise with the anger, And he went behind him and told him to stand still. And they got it off and packed it in the teapot. Okay. Finally, they got the butter from here, from Harry's back. Now, 12th paragraph. Montmorency was in it all, of course. Who is this Montmorency? I told you in the introduction, it is a pet dog. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. Sworn at means here to get scolded. Get in the way, to interfere, disturb. Okay, when somebody is doing some work, to disturb. This is what his ambition in life, his intention, to just disturb and to sworn, and it means to get scolded. If he can squirm in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted and be a perfect nuisance and make people mad. Squirm means, what is the meaning of squirm? To move inside. Here it is. You can squirm in anywhere. You can just move, inside where you are not wanted. When you are packing, when you are doing some important work, and particularly when you are in a hurry and these pet animals come in, what happens? You scold or you chase them. And perfect nuisance, nuisance, disturbance. Okay? You are giving, it's a troublesome, it's a nuisance, and make people mad and have things thrown at his head, then he feels his day has not been wasted. You see, he got angry at the end and trying to beat him. So what was his day? You see, when his intention is like, what is the intention of Montmorency? You see, he would come on the way of people and disturb them and get scolding, and he would disturb in such a way that he would make the people mad. And at the end, this owner, what they will do? They will start throwing things on his head. And then he feels that day is successful. It's not been wasted. Are you understanding what is successful day? It is something like your people, no? You feel that till you disturb the teachers, you are not satisfied. Something like that, okay? To get somebody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour is his highest aim and object. And when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. Okay? His highest pride, what is this highest pride? You see, highest aim and object is highest aim and object. What is his highest aim? He would be on the people's way first of all, okay, trying to disturb. Now somebody will stumble over him. Stumble over him means they will just stamp him and they will be able to fall down. That is called stumble. Okay, their feet will hit at him, and what will happen? You will be able to fall, about to fall down. And what will happen when you are about to fall because of that thing? Will curse him steadily. You are cursing. Why you are sitting here? For an hour. Of course, it's exaggeration. You go on scolding this dog. That was the highest aim. He was happy that somebody is scolding him. Okay? And highest aim and object. And when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, when he has succeeded, that this has happened, then his conceit becomes quite unbearable. What is conceit here? Is his pride in himself. He becomes so proud, that he is able to make others angry. Can you imagine? Make others angry is his pride. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed. Just wanted to be packed, he will come and sit on the things. And he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reach out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. He put his leg into the jam and he worried the teaspoon and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them. And killed 3 of them before Harris could land him with the frying pan. You see what happened? They were about to pack, the things were about to be packed. He would go and stamp. And George and Harris, if they want to reach out something, he would be in such a place that they will touch his nose. Okay, they want to pack, suppose, the jam bottle. Instead of taking jam bottle, they will be catching his nose, cold nose. Can you imagine? The damp nose that he is telling. This is something like curse nose. The wet, damp is the wet nose, very cold nose, And he put his leg into the jam and he worried the teaspoon. Here worried is he disturbed the the teaspoon, and he pretended that the lemons were rats. Okay, he pretended that the lemons were rats and got into the hamper and killed three of them before Harris could land him with the frying pan. Are you understanding? He pretend that there is a rat, and he was doing mess, that's all in short. Okay, and Harris no longer could tolerate him, and he started beating him with what? With frying pan. 14. Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It's the natural, original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. You see, Jerome is sitting there and watching all this time, okay, the author. And Harry is telling, you are encouraging, you are making him, you are encouraging, you are telling him to do all this. Okay, you are supporting, you are supporting him to do. And he said, no, I didn't encourage him, because the dog like that doesn't need any encouragement, any support, because it is his natural and original sin. It's his origin. He's born with all this. It's inborn to do all things like that. Nobody need to teach. Nobody has to teach anything. The packing was done at 12:50, and imagine it is night, almost getting morning. And Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. Can you imagine? Sitting on the hamper, the big basket. Hamper is a basket containing the food items. He sat on it and telling, hope nothing is broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflection seemed to comfort him. He also said he was ready for bed. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night, and we went upstairs. You see, he said, who is saying? George said that if anything was to broken, it was broken. Harris sat down on the hamper and telling, if anything broken, George said, okay, if it is broken, it is broken. Which sound to Harris that nothing will happen. He felt very comfortable, okay, as if he was supporting him. No, if it is broken, broken. Meantime, he said that he was ready for bed. Ready for bed means he was feeling sleepy almost. And all were ready for bed, and Harris was to sleep with us that night. That means George and Jerome were staying together. Harris was somewhere else, but that night he was staying, and we went upstairs. Oh, Jerome and George went upstairs. Harris remained down. 15. We tossed for bed. Tossed for means just walked around. Just went to bed, and Harris had to sleep with me, he said. Harris wanted to sleep with him that day. Do you prefer the inside or the outside, J? J here means for Jerome. Want to sleep inside or outside? I said I generally prefer to sleep inside a bed. Harris said it was odd. George said, what time shall I wake you fellows? Harris said, 7. I said, no, 6, because I wanted to write some letters. He is a man of literature, remember that. Who? Jerome. And telling, Harris telling, you call us at 7. But Jerome is telling, no, at 6, because I have some work. I have to write some letters. Harris said, I had a bit of row over it. Row is a fight. I had a bit means little bit of fight over it. But Harris and I. Harris and who is I? Jerome. They had a bit of row. Bit of row means little bit of fight over it. But at last split the difference and said 6:30. 6:30 means 6:30. Wake us at 6:30, George, we said. So who is sleeping with Jerome? Harris. And George is supposed to wake them up. George made no answer. Now they came into an agreement. One is telling 7 o'clock, one is telling 6 o'clock. And so now they reconciled, they made agreement that neither your time nor my time, so in between, so 6:30. George made no answer, and we found on going over that he had been asleep for some time, so we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning and went to bed ourselves. You see what they are doing, you see. George did not give answer. And then they found out that meantime George is already sleeping. Are you understanding? So what they did? They placed the bath. Bath means a bathtub, like, no, one tub. They put there, and then they went, because they knew that when he gets up, he will tumble. Tumble means he would dash and he would fall down. Are you understanding? They would stumble. He would fall down, and with that fun, they went to bed. Split the difference means that they agreed on 6:30. They split because one is in 7, one is telling 6. So in between. I hope you have understood it. The questions answers in the next video. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.